All right. Oh shit. Yours truly is officially live. What's good? All right. 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 What is good? What is good? What is good? Ladies and gentlemen, of course you know who it is. Yours truly, Dr. Mike, back again. Once again with another classic live stream for you guys today. Good God, sorry. Sincerely hope everybody's having a blessed day. Official time check is 8:30 in the PM Eastern Standard, 8:30 in the AM in the Philippines, 5:30 in the West Coast, and of course about 7:30 Central Standard Time in the PM for my people out there repping the central area of the United States of America. Okay. And I'm here to rip this one off like a band-aid, man. I appreciate all of you guys coming through, spending some time with the good doctor today. I hope that I'm coming through loud and clear for you guys. Please let me know because I want to make sure that you soak up every bit of this particular live stream today. I do have a special guest coming on. I'm going to link him in. Many of you guys already know him, but I'm going to go ahead and bring my boy Mining Free on because I feel like this man is definitely one that could provide some very good insight. Not sure when he's going to come on. I hope he's waiting for the link, but if he's not, it's all good. You are stuck with yours truly for a significant amount of time. So guys, make sure you get the likes up on this video when you first come into the building. Dr. Mike would highly appreciate it. Of course, you guys know how to find the IPATs, everything, the ebooks, everything. You already know how you can get it. But if you don't, please make sure you check the links in the latest videos that I put up. And you guys can definitely be in the fold and also be in the know. All right. So we got a great show for you guys tonight. I mean, a fantastic show. We're going to be talking about doing business and saving money in the Philippines, how to break bread with Filipinos in general. Okay. Now, first and foremost, just so that you guys don't think that I am talking out of the side of my ass, I also want to make sure that you guys understand that if you do not know this about me, I want to make sure that you understand a little bit about yours truly. I did have a business in the Philippines. I repeat, I did have a business in the Philippines. From February of 2012 to March of 2015, 3 years, I was considered the owner and operator, aka business director of Ever Belina Cosmetics. Many of you guys who've been in the Philippines, you guys may be familiar with Ever Belina. That's Bilena. You guys may be familiar with Ever Belina, but if you're not, it is a cosmetics company, probably number 2 in the country after Avon, maybe even number 1. Comes from China. Pretty good product, pretty cheap shit. Okay. So that's what I did for 3 years. My location was right next door to the Marco Polo. And if you guys ever have a chance to go to Davao City and you look up, they're right next to it's called the Net Front Building, right next door to the Marco Polo. If you look up, there's a big ass Ever Belina sign still there, and that's where my business was. My business was actually in that location. But I was a small scale dude. All right, small scale, but I did pretty good for myself. And aside from that, I want you guys to understand that because of my visa, I had a Section 9F visa in the Philippines, of course. That's a student visa. Student visa did not give me the opportunity to actually work in the Philippines. So I technically cannot own the business, but I technically owned the business. All I did was I put the business in my girlfriend's name. I trusted her. I mean, we had already been together for a minute. So my girl basically was the face of the company. I just did everything in the background. So what I did is we went down to the courthouse I think this courthouse or whatever it may be, went to the office. I got a what do you call them shits? The affidavit where they let me do all of the work and shit. Notary of public affidavit or whatever. I forgot off the top of my head. Fuck it. Don't kill me. It's late. And I just woke up. So I got the affidavit that would allow me to do all of the transactions business related. All right. Anything dealing with the business, I was able to do transactions at the bank or pay the taxes and shit like that. I did all of that. And I can tell you right now, this was where I really picked up and honed in on my business skills. I mean, I went to school over there, but this is like the experience is just, you can't buy this shit. Okay. Because I can tell you right now, I paid taxes every year. And one time I only paid 17 pesos in taxes after I did all of my mathematics. I didn't cheat nobody. Don't get me wrong. Don't think that I did this because I cheated people. What I did was I got all of my shit together, all of my sales receipts quarterly, because you do have to pay your quarterly taxes with a business like this, whatever. I got all that together, but you can subtract everything. So if you pay water, if you pay electric, if you pay this, you pay that for the business, that's deductions. Plus, I use my gas to do deliveries. Like when I had a car, my car was basically a part of my business. So my gas receipts were deductibles on my shit. And after I did all of my deductibles and did my percentage tax and all that shit, only end up having to pay 17 pesos 1 year for my taxes, which is why I think that it is very, very, very logical for people to open up LLCs for themselves. I do believe that wholeheartedly, because if you treat yourself as an entity in a business, you can have more deductions. Now, I paid taxes as an individual in the United States last year. That shit killed me. I'm telling you, the shit was brutal. So, this is where I kind of feel like you guys need to, hone in on your shit right now. So I definitely wanted to give you guys a little bit of my background so that you guys know that anything that I provide for you guys in this particular chat today is not coming out the side of my ass or I'm just making up stuff. I did actually have to go through all of this process together. Luckily for me, my business was more, I assumed it. So it was already operable to an extent. So I didn't have to do anything. So once I assumed it, I was able to work one whole free month without having to pay rent because the rent was already paid by the previous owners. Then for me to get my my stuff done at BIR, the Bureau of Internal Revenue, and all of that shit, that was another 3 months. So I didn't have to pay taxes for the first 3 months that my business was operable. I don't know anywhere in the world where you can be in operation for 3 months making bank and not have to pay a dime on it until your business becomes official. And that's what it was for me in Davao City, man. So if you guys are having any ideas or anything that you want to talk to me about as far as business is concerned, anything that I could possibly help you with, I will. I'm the small scale dude, but of course my guest tonight is Mr. BGC, Mr. World Traveler himself. Many of you guys know him. He was on with me just a couple of nights ago. He came on a little bit later on, but I wanted him to be a part of this because he himself is definitely a corporate business owner. So, he can probably provide insight on how to interact and intermingle with Filipinos in its essence in order to get things done. Because a lot of people want to open businesses. They don't know how, number one, especially in overseas countries. And number two, they may not know the culture to the extent of being able to intermingle and get shit done. So that's what I am hopefully planning to accomplish in this particular live stream today. So I hope you guys definitely stay tuned, and I hope that you get the likes up on this video, and we're going to go ahead and get into it. So welcome in my special guest for the evening, World Traveler. What's going on with you, brother?
Nothing much.
You with me?
I'm always working, man. You hear me?
Hello?
Hello? You hear me?
Hold on.
You hear me? Hello?
I see you moving, man. I don't know. Did I put you on mute or am I on mute? Okay, I got you, brother. I'm sorry. Fuck. Go ahead. I'm good. Go ahead, man.
Do you hear me fine now?
Yeah, you're good, man. It was my fault. Go ahead. What's going on with you, man?
Nothing. My usual work all night, work all day kind of thing. I only sleep like 3 hours.
All right, man. Well, yeah, from your perspective, man, you live the lifestyle where you get very minimal sleep. And again, that is basically what it takes to run a successful business at times. And I think that did you have any businesses in the United States, or like the only business you had was like when you were in the Philippines? Because I want you to be able to try to tell me some of the differences if you can come up with any. I would appreciate that.
I had 3 businesses in the U.S.
Okay, so that's good. Can you explain? I think more people are more, interested in the Philippine side of getting things together and getting things done. But can you do a quick comparison and contrast of both of them?
Well, let's see. I would say doing business in the Philippines is a lot easier in certain things, should I say. As far as setting it up, it's easier. As far as taxes, dealing with the local government is a lot easier. And profitability is, I would say, greater actually here in the Philippines than it would be in the U.S.
I agree 100%. Go ahead.
Now, of course, in the U.S., you actually pay higher taxes than you do here in the Philippines, definitely.
Okay.
And at the same time, too, depending on what state you live in, the state taxes and regulations can actually run you out of business fairly quickly. So for me, it was California. So California has a lot of red tape in regards to business, and that's why a lot of corporations have actually left California and gone to like Texas, Florida, uh, more corporate friendly states. Over here in the Philippines, you have a couple of options. You know, you can stay within your local barangay, your area, or as an expat, you actually have more freedom if you set up your business in the Freeport zone like Subic.
Okay.
Because as a expat, you actually have some rights to be a business owner in the Freeport zone.
All right.
Yeah.
And I like that. So let me say this because I think I know the question, I know the answer to the question, but what kind of visas do you think it takes for us as foreigners to be able to own businesses outright? Because of course you shouldn't be able to do it on a tourist visa. I was technically not allowed to do it on my Section 9F visa, but what kind of visas for foreigners, if you know, are out there for us to be able to own and operate businesses without necessarily having Filipino partners, if there are any?
Unfortunately, as a foreigner, you can't avoid not having a Filipino partner, but does not mean that you cannot be the majority stakeholder. Okay. Now, of course, the law is the 60% of the business has to be owned by Filipino partners. Does not specify how many partners. So, if you say you own 40%, you get a four partners, 20% each, and then
You're
you put
still
a
a majority owner.
you're
Mm,
still majority owner, and you put a
right.
clause that at least one of those partners, anytime there's a vote, has to has to be on your side.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever there is a board vote, no matter
Correct.
what, you are always in control of the corporation.
And that's what I like. I think that's very, very important. So for you guys listening out there, and I'm gonna get to the questions because I've seen some pretty good questions in the chat. I'm gonna get to them in a minute. I'm gonna shout everybody out after I say this particular part. But if you're gonna own a business, of course, like we said, the split is 60-40. So technically we can never own anything outright as far as properties and things like that, with the exception of condos. But well, that's another story. But if you're going to have a business and you're going to be, with partners, make sure that you are always the majority owner, percentage wise on paper. That way you are always in control. Because I've seen businesses be taken over by people who were not, who were not in the know of particular knowledge, when it relates to things like this. So before we get into the chat, before we get into any more questions or anything, shouting out to my man David Webb, where the white woman at. You got to ask Mike for that. Deadly Miss, thank you for coming through. Oahu, dude, appreciate you guys, man. BK, I see you in the building. All right. Tim H, appreciate you coming through. I'm gonna get through all of you guys because I want to get to the questions in the chat that I see them as they come. Jay and Cookie, how are you doing? I appreciate you. Maybe I can get you guys on, man. Maybe we could do an interracial type interview. I would definitely love to hear your viewpoints on being in an interracial relationship. I think that would be, something that would be positive for the channel. So, we'll look out for that one if you guys could ever make it on. BK says it's easy to save money in the Philippines. Don't spend more than you earn. We're going to get to that particular section a little bit later, but right now we're going to focus on the business aspects. MJB, what's going on, Malcolm? I appreciate you. Anti-gravity, this one's for you, my brother. You asked for it, and I'm trying to deliver. He says, "What's up, man? You give me the craziest names, brother, but I appreciate you, man." I saw Oahu dude had a question. I'm gonna get to it. Andy Orellana, I appreciate you coming through, man. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome yourself to the family, man. Appreciate you. Wahoo dude asked the question, why would anyone that needs income decide to run a business in the Philippines versus their own home country? That is $1 million question, but I kind of felt that my man Mike, you touched on it just vaguely a little bit and you were talking about how it could be difficult to start up in the U.S. and, depending on the taxes and the laws in your particular area as it pertains to business, it could definitely be difficult at times. But is there anything else you can add to that question? Why would anyone want to open up and run a business in the Philippines versus a business in the United States, since you did have a business in both?
Yeah, because to start a business in the Philippines is going to cost you 1/4 or 1/5 of the cost. I'll give you an example. You can open or you can get franchise rights for a 7-Eleven in the US for $1 million US. Franchise rights in the Philippines will only cost you 1 million pesos, which is about $20,000 compared to $1 million US. So you tell me, do the math, which is cheaper?
I mean, mathematically, I do agree that, you're going to pay cheaper prices to get a business started. And a lot of people may not look at it this way, but you guys got to understand that your profit margins, whether you look at it in peso or dollar or not, I think that your profit margins are definitely going to be bigger in the Philippines. May seem a bit outlandish for me to say that, but I can honestly say that there are the sky's the limit with your business and your opportunities in the Philippines. And it could be the same in the United States, but in the United States, you have to be one of very few running the same type of business. You can't do the same thing that everybody else is doing and expecting to, make money. And that goes for the Philippines too. But all I did was sell cosmetics. And how many cosmetics companies did they have? They have plenty of them in the Philippines, right? So if you guys have they have so many cosmetics company, but you know what made me special? Number one, the location. I told you guys, I was in the heart of the city, right across from Aldevinco next to the Marco Polo. Everything was within walking distance. I mean, dude, people just used to come across my business by accident. Most people used to just walk by it by accident. I had the second largest gross sales 3 years in a row with my business. And the only person that sold more than me was the actual distributor in the area. So, that shit just goes to show you something. Location is definitely important. I mean, that's with any business anywhere. But, you're definitely going to pay cheaper, probably cheaper rent. It does depend on who you choose to do business with, because rent in the Philippines can be super cheap. But then again, every year they could change the rates on you, and that shit could bite you in the ass a little bit down the line. But, this is just focusing on a small scale. Now, if you got properties and things like, on a corporate level, that's a whole different thing. So I'm going to let my man Mike talk about that one. Go ahead.
Well, earlier you asked about what kind of visas can you get to have a business in the Philippines. Say if you don't want to be married to a Filipina here, or for a Filipina not to marry a Filipino male here, there is something called a corporate investment visa. Now, you would have to take $50,000 US and deposit it into a bank account here. And, of course, file for a corporation. And that would actually qualify you for a business investment visa for the country. So that's another way you can get into the country without having to get married and having to stay here without having a visa issues as well. Granted, it's going to cost you 50. I would actually bring it up to about 60,000, because after, you have to establish a corporation, things like that. You gotta show you have some money for investment, basically.
That makes sense. You got to show that you can put money up and you're not just using it for, tax write-offs or whatever. So, all right. So, I'm shouting out everybody. Fed Up, you get your shout out, man. Appreciate you coming through. No, Miss Christine, I am not half Filipino. I'm just a regular black dude that just grew up in the Philippines. That's all. Wahudu says, once successful, what are the risks of getting knocked out? Well, that right there was what we were talking about earlier, focusing on making sure everything is ironclad. Now, like Mike said, you got to have at least one partner who is of the 20% that needs to vote for you regardless of anything. So that gives you the 60% to the other person's 40%. Now, again, if all three of them and with their 20% votes against you, based on any policies or, who runs the business or kicking your ass out, then that's different. But if you have it in an ironclad contract where there's a clause that goes to your favor, then you're pretty much putting yourself in a more comfortable situation. I mean, anything can happen, let's be honest. But again, business relationships sour sometimes. That's just something that's unavoidable. But my whole philosophy is, I think that everybody should, you should be able to keep everybody relatively happy.
Yeah. Now,
I mean, as long as money's coming in, I don't see nobody tripping. But
well, also too, it's like you can also put within the corporate, should I say, the corporate bylaws of, if anything is to happen to the majority stakeholder, the corporation will automatically be dissolved, and the remaining partners will only get their 20% of what is due to them as far as the value of the company. 20% each. Your percentage actually gets put into a living trust to whatever heir you assign to it.
Right. So you guys, I hope you guys are taking this into
insurance policy.
You got to make sure that you look out for yourself. So Christine says that we should buy stock in Del Monte. They're actually in Cagayan de Oro, and it is a U.S. owned business, and they are pretty big. I know. They grow pineapples and stuff like that. I haven't been to the Del Monte plant or anything in Cagayan, but I did hear that they definitely have some nice shit over there. Okay, Awahudu says, what is the difference between your business corporate visa and the SRRV visa? The SRRV only requires 10K versus the 50K.
Well, actually, the SSRV, there are two different types. The 10K is if you're over 60 years old. If you're between the age of 50 to 60, then you can pay 10K. Now, the 50,000 for a business corporate visa, or should I say investor's visa, there is no age. There is no age limitation. So if you are under 50 and you have some money and you want to invest and you want to get out of the matrix of your country, that is your way out.
That shit seems pretty plain and simple to me. They say if you invest 1 million, you would be the same as a retirement visa, just get ahead of the line privilege. That's definitely an interesting way to look at it. But I'm glad that we talked about this business stuff. And if any of you guys have any business questions, by all means, please make sure you leave it in the chat. Anti-Gravity says, are there options for citizenship by investment in the Philippines? Like if I drop 100 grand, can I get a passport? I think he means a Philippine passport.
No,
I don't think so. But yeah, but that's a good thought.
that's a nice try.
It is. The only way that I came close to getting a Philippine passport was when I first got there. The cutoff was 16. I was 17 when I first visited, but I could have started the paperwork for dual citizenship. I don't know how, but they told me that I could if I would have started it earlier. But I don't need dual citizenship. I have zero plans on giving up my U.S. passport, and I guess the only benefit. From a business standpoint, having a Philippine passport would definitely do you some favors. But I think what works best, and I talked about this briefly, is becoming a naturalized Filipino citizen. That's your next best option. That just gives you most of the privileges, not all, but most of the privileges that most Filipinos have. It doesn't give you a passport, but it gives you most privileges. And you really have to meet a rigorous, it's not really strict or rigorous to a nature, but you have to have lived in the country for damn near a decade. And luckily I did. Have good character. The rest of that stuff anybody could pretty much get, the actual visa for. But, I appreciate you guys coming through. And I want to talk more about how you can save money in the Philippines. I think that would definitely be a topic of conversation that would be of interest to most foreigners. You can come up with the easy shit like, oh, just do this. And yeah, you can save money. Just stop spending money. You can save money. And that's pretty much the know all be all straight to the point answer. But I'm more so into necessary tactics that you can do on a monthly basis that could definitely help you be financially secure just in case shit happens. I'm a firm believer in emergency funds. I believe anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 US dollars is good for an emergency fund. I don't have that money just laying around, but I'm just saying, in general, having a certain amount of money in the bank could definitely be to your benefit. But if you had to give any tips on your personal money saving techniques, even though you don't have to save money like that, but how do save money while you're in the Philippines?
Well, first off, I would say you have to have, say, three, I think, tranches. Well, I guess you can say three separate accounts. One for your savings, one for your monthly expenses, and then the other for your emergency fund, which could be for health or for your escape from the Philippines if you need to get the heck out of here. Your doomsday prep fund, I guess you can say, on top of it.
Oh yeah, that's what I would call it. Yeah. In case shit happens fund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want a fourth, and there's a possible fourth one that you could put out there of like a travel fund. Because you're in the Philippines, I don't see any reason why you would not want to travel to other countries in Asia, because airline tickets are dirt cheap flying out of Manila or out of the Philippines in general to all these other countries that are surrounding us to travel around. So I would say look into what you're comfortable with on a monthly basis, and go with that. I mean, a lot of times too, people are looking at like, I can buy a place in the Philippines. You could, I'll be honest with you, but if you're at retirement age, you also got to look at, that hospital fund, right? Because
right.
You're going to need medical care.
Pretty much, yeah.
And the average condo in the Philippines is roughly on the lower end scale is roughly about 5 million pesos, right?
Correct. Average, about average, yeah.
Yeah, about $100,000. But if you look at the average cost of rent, is roughly about 20,000 a month.
Average, yeah, 15 to 20. That's
15 to 20. It'll take you 25 years to even get up to
the price of owning the condo. Yeah.
No, not even close. Not even to the price of owning the condo to even hit 1 million pesos.
Okay. Oh wow.
So
damn. Well,
you got to look at it this way: it might be cheaper for you to rent than it is for you to buy, and also renting gives you options to move around.
Right. Because you're not settled, not stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what? Sometimes you get into an area, and if something goes down, you need to get the heck out. At least you can just pack up and go. And
right.
Go in another part of the country if you need to, or get the heck out and don't have to worry about real estate in your name.
That's definitely true. I mean, and I think about that often. I mean, a lot of foreigners come to the game with the whole mentality of, okay, I'm gonna come to the Philippines, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna have this so that it's mine, so that I can settle down, so I can live here and be good. But for people who don't know, you guys got to do your research for that, because not a lot of people, they may want to live in a specific area, but if they haven't been there and they don't believe that this is the place for them, what are they gonna do? Like, I got this property now, but I'm not liking it here. Or maybe you're getting threats. I mean, worst case scenario, you kind of get pushed out of the city that you're in. What are you gonna do about your property if you own it? At least if you're renting it, you could just pick up and get the fuck out. As long as you paid your rent up, or hell, sometimes you could I wouldn't skip on the rent because that's pretty shitty. But I mean, you could just get up and leave. And I love the flexibility of being able to get up and leave. So for buying a condo at 3M, 5M, whatever it may be, instead of renting a space for, let's say you rented at the top of about 25,000. Let's see, what's 2550? That's 2 months. You'll probably get up to about 100,000 after what? And about 4 months, right? So every year you'll pay what, 100, about 300,000-400,000 probably. That seems a bit much, but I mean, at least that 400,000 is not it comes far cheaper than having to pay $5 billion up front. And if it's a condo, you guys already know. After condo prices, you got to pay homeowners associations. You got to do this. You got to pay taxes on the property. So you're still going to be paying on that property. At least if you're renting it, usually your rent money goes towards the paying the taxes that you may have. That's something that the owner of the building will take care of. So that's not something that falls on your shoulders. So, this is definitely something to take into consideration. Got anything to say, man?
Yeah. Also, too, I would not rent a house, honestly, as a foreigner. Okay. Only because the security of a condo is much better. You have expensive stuff. Maybe to you it may not be expensive, but to the average Filipino, you got expensive stuff. I'm sure everybody has seen videos, I've heard videos of people making videos on YouTube like, oh, my house got broken into for like the second, third time.
You've seen the videos.
Yeah, you get followed. Honestly, it's like if you don't change up how you get, on your way home to your subdivisions here and there, people watch the foreigners in this country.
Oh yes,
you know that.
Yeah. Fuck, they love to watch you. Oh my God. See, where I lived at, you guys seen it. I mean, the security was weak as hell. I mean, what we had was a maid, and hopefully the maid was there to, do her thing and, watch out. You got to hope that this person is on your side, because when you leave and you're going on vacation or you're going anywhere, you got to expect that this person is going to do her job, stay there, and at least look out for your property. A lot of people don't do that. You can't really expect that. But, we didn't have a high security gate, nothing dramatic. But in the neighborhood, because everybody was so nosy, I mean, it was hard for people to just try to come up in your stuff. But unless the people, your neighbors, didn't like you, nobody was really going to go up in it. But it was always dangerous. And my father was very adamant about not leaving that house sitting empty. He didn't care if he had to hire somebody to sit outside. We had an outside housing outside of the house, so people could just stay there. But that's just something you got to also take into consideration as well. Condos definitely give you the security that is much needed. Can't nobody really break into your condo. It's highly unlikely because there's cameras everywhere. They know who comes in the building, and the only person that would possibly be able to break into your property is somebody who lives there. Somebody who has access to the building. So, you got to make sure you take that into consideration too.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at, what type of condos you're buying, or you're living in, should I say. Well, you've been to my place. My place is highly fortified. There's security on
every floor, outside,
every
outside,
elevator, every floor,
every floor.
outside. I mean,
bruh, they got a attendant inside of the elevator. So you tell them what floor you're going to, so they know exactly where you're getting off. They know everything. So that's not the fuck with.
Well, you saw that. They keep a log of every single person, not just at the lobby, even in the elevator. What elevator you went in, what floor you went off, and let alone when guests leave. They call my condo and said, is it okay for this guest to leave?
Exactly. It's nothing to play with, guys. And I like that. I mean, that makes it worth it. You're going to pay a premium price. Well, for his place, it's different because of the location. But, if you have just a condo where there's a guard downstairs to just look over everything, you might pay in Manila for sure. You're going to pay the 25, like I said, but you can find that same luxury in Davao for 15 to 20. It just depends on your location for sure.
Well, my brother, he lives in Makati, and he lives in a moderate condo, and it's a 2-bedroom, but he only pays, $20,000 a month.
He really went modest. Jesus Christ.
Oh, actually, but it's still secured.
That's all that matters.
It's secured. I mean, it's moderate. I mean, it's only like a couple blocks away from the hot spot over in Makati.
Yeah, everybody knows about the district. Yeah, you don't have to worry. And he knows it. He's walking distance from the street, so he's good to go.
Yeah, I mean, but he's been there for over 10 years, and he's never had an issue.
That's
ever.
all that matters, man. That's great. And we
So
were talking about before, the whole idea of saving money in the Philippines. You mentioned that you got to have your account for savings, the account for expenses, the account for what were the other three? The other two? Savings, expenses,
uh, emergency fund basically,
right, the
and
emergency
and then like I said, the fourth is an option, say a travel fund. So you can save it
travel
for
fund.
travel. Um,
Exactly.
Now, if you want to save money, I would say if you're not a vet and you're not with USAA or some type of credit union, uh,
Mm-hmm.
get yourself a Charles Schwab checking account. There's no real minimum balance to even start it. Okay, the
Mm-hmm.
ATM that you get from them, everything that any kind of fees that you incur, like ATM, whatever it may be, all gets reimbursed back to you at the end of the month. Uh,
Perfect.
I have three bank accounts. One of them is Chase, and every
Mm-hmm.
time I use it, I get an ATM fee from whatever bank I'm getting the money out from.
Correct.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like $5. Then my bank hits me with another $5. So that's $10. And then
Right.
they hit me with a foreign exchange fee, which is on average of I usually take out 20,000 pesos. So at the time, so I get hit with like about $11.57 on top of
Per
that. So
transaction.
per transaction. So you're looking at that right there. That's about $22 a transaction.
And then let's say
Off
you
of,
at least
off
take
of
out one per week. Yeah,
yeah,
one per week. You're roughly $100, right?
yeah, roughly
At
about
least,
$100. Yeah, at least.
and that's fees.
Yeah, that's
Remember,
just
guys,
food.
this is just fees. That's
Yeah.
not actual money.
Mhm.
So you're losing
Yeah, you're
five
losing
thousand pesos.
yeah,
Mm,
about 5,000 pesos plus a month. So, but that $100, say you're gonna get hit from the ATM fees from whatever bank you get it out from. Say it's BPI. Okay, you get it $5. Um, Charles Schwab actually will not hit you with any fees. So all those $5 ATM fees or whatever transactional fees that you get anytime you swipe your Charles Schwab card will all get reimbursed back to you at the end of the month, and there is no limit to it. By the way, I know there are some
right.
banks that have a limit of say of like, oh, you can't do more than like $100 of fees a month and things like that, or some of them are even just like $25 a month. So
Yeah.
I would definitely encourage getting a Charles Schwab, and like I said, there's no minimum balance. I think it will cost you about $100 deposit just to start it. But once the money's in there, you don't have to keep it in there, obviously, because there's no minimum deposit or no minimum
Right.
balance to keep. So
Okay.
that is the best card that you can actually have. Um, I've actually lost this card one time,
Mm-hmm.
and they got a new card to me here in the Philippines in 2 days from the United
Damn,
States.
they. Hey, man, that's legit right there. I mean, and that's something to take in. That's just something to keep in mind. I mean, transaction fees could cost you an arm, a leg, and a foot, and all you're doing is just taking your money out of the bank. So, like he says, if you're not affiliated with USAA, which I am, thank God. I mean, you could get Charles Schwab, and then I also saw that Capital One. My man Devontae Arnold, what's going on, family? He says Capital One is also a great for cash advances and stuff like that. But if you're just just making the regular transactional withdrawals, understand, I think most banks put a cap on the per transaction, so you may only be able to take out what, 20, maybe 10. How much is it normally per transaction? 10 to
Um,
25 maximum. How much you can take out maximum in pesos?
every, every ATM except for BPI is 10,000 pesos per transaction. BPI,
Hmm.
on the left side of the screen, they'll give you like preset amounts, and the preset amount is like maximum of like 10,000. But on the right
Mm-hmm.
side, there is a option that says uh, other amounts. Hit that
Okay.
option, and you can take out 20, and you can put in 20,000, and you can take out 20,000 at a time per
Okay.
transaction.
And this is just for your basic transactions. And I'm the
Yeah.
type of person that if I'm going to take out money from my US bank account, I want to take out as much as I possibly can so that I don't have to keep running back and forth. I can't swipe my cards in the Philippines. I choose not to. Credit cards that I have issued in the United States, I choose not to swipe those cards in the Philippines just for my own personal safety. Doesn't mean that anything's going to happen. And I'm sure plenty of people have used these cards before. But I remember one time I used my USAA card one time and they blocked it, and this was just me trying to get a transaction out. They blocked the card, they shut the card down. I mean, USAA takes care of you for sure. I had to call them up and say, yeah, I'm actually here. They're like, oh, okay, sir, we just wanted to make sure that your card wasn't stolen, this, that, and the other, blah blah blah. They called me, they emailed me as soon as it happened. So I mean, these people are on top of it, but you just got to be careful with the transactions you make with these these international cards, I should say.
Yeah. Another way you can save money here in the Philippines is, well, most of you guys are already stateside. Um,
Mm-hmm.
get get yourself a separate Google Voice number. Okay. You can make calls, text messages from that Google Voice number. Granted, it is linked up with Hangouts over here once it's set
Mm-hmm.
up. But it's a completely separate number, has a completely separate voicemail, and all it is just using data, overseas. So it's like your own personal voice over IP, and it is free to make any call to any landline, cell phone, 800 number back in the US, and they can call you as well. So if you are still doing business in the US and say doing conference calls like I do, it
Mm-hmm.
costs you nothing to make calls and talk to your friends and family and handle business through Google Voice. And
Okay.
so I know that there's like Freedom Pop, which will cost you like $10 a month, but this is completely free. And say if like you said, if you have a problem with your bank, at least you can make a quick phone call without having to, you know, pay for some additional load to call back to the U.S.
True. Um, I'm shocked. Let me see. I saw some. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, it is a good idea to call your credit card company before you travel. Like I said, I thought that I had already had that set up because I did it online. Because normally they ask, "Do you plan on traveling soon?" And I clicked the yes icon, and I set my travel dates and everything. But sometimes you got to just talk to people to make sure that you get that taken care of. So I want to shout out to my man, Mister Schwarzwald. I never get your name right, and if I fuck it up, I'm sorry. But I appreciate you coming. It's been a while since I seen you in here, so it's good to see you back in the building. Um, as far as what I did to save money in the Philippines, guys, and this is the most mediocre, dumb thing that I mean, it's not dumb, but a lot of people don't know about this. But I tried, like what Mike said, the four cards. If you don't have the option of opening Philippine bank accounts, because a lot of people don't have that option. I do a video on that. I got a video coming out Friday about that. So I hope you guys check it out. But if you can't open up Philippine bank accounts in the Philippines because you're a foreigner and whatnot like that, I do like the envelope method. It's basically the same principles applied. Instead of you don't have the money in like different bank accounts, it's just like you just put your money in envelopes. Like you said, I got this one for my expenses. This is the only envelope that I open for expenses. Got this for my savings, got this for travel fund. I got this for that. And it does really work. As mediocre and as kind of childish as it may sound, that is probably one of the best methods that anybody could use. Now, having all of that money on you and in the exact same place, depending on where you live, safety is definitely an issue and a concern with that. But if you're just looking for an easy principle method of being able to save money, that's always worked for me in the United States and also in the Philippines. I have a stash, I just put it away, and it's never a lot, man. I may throw my change in there to save money. Like, how when you go out and you give yourself a daily budget, let's say you got 1,000 peso daily budget. I would hope you could make up more than that. But let's say for somebody who's cheap like me and who can live off 1,000 a day, I say fuck it. I just want to put up $1,000 a day, and don't get me wrong, 1,000 a day is a lot of money if you know how to spend it right. Whatever I have left over for that day, I just put it away. That's just money that I don't worry about. And then I take my another 1,000, and then if I only spend 500, if I only spend 200 that day, I just put the rest of it away. And that's just a quick method and mentality that I've used throughout my time in the Philippines to actually help me save money there. So, I mean, any option could work though. But have you had any other methods that you've tried to help yourself save money? I mean, even something simple. I don't know.
I mean,
For yourself.
Think more in peso than dollar. I mean, you just put out a video about tipping, about thinking more about in peso than it is in dollar.
Correct.
And I firmly believe, just because you're here and you're making that dollar, and it's like, oh, 50 pesos is only $1 to me. Well, that dollar to you, is 50 pesos to a Filipino that only makes if they're making the national minimum within the city of 500 pesos a day. So it may be $1 to you, but to them, that's a meal.
Right.
Okay.
That's a 50. That is a meal. A lot of people don't understand that. And like when they think like I said, thinking in dollars is always dangerous. We talked about that. I think there was a live stream we had about that, but a lot of people don't understand how dangerous it is. Like I said, you can tip, like I said, for example, that in the video, I said like 150 pesos may not mean anything to you because you're saying that's just $3, but it's not $3. That's 3 meals. Like you said, that's the best way to put it. But 3 meals, but I say that's 300% probably over what you're going to pay. And for those that overpay, that's dangerous. I'm not going to tell you how to tip. And I did have some people saying I only tip for certain services and stuff like that. But for me, like I said, they say I don't tip for haircuts, I don't tip for that. But I mean, if you're satisfied with the haircut and you're like, damn, they did a good job, that price is set basically by the company in which they work for. So the 50 peso, the 70 peso haircut is the price that is set by the business, and I don't know how much of that money they actually get. And if you're satisfied, I mean, shit, it doesn't hurt you to throw an extra 20 their way. I mean, shit. I mean, only if you're satisfied with the service, it does depend on certain situations. That's all. But, tipping, I just actually in this video, when I read the comments, I just realized how cheap some people are because I thought I was cheap. But when they were like, I don't tip for shit, I'm like, damn, man, that's bad, but I just thought that was pretty funny.
It's like I typically tip about 100, but my haircut cost me like 170, but I tip 100. So,
okay,
it's BGC, so you pay a little bit more than the province for a haircut. So,
correct. Yeah, for sure.
And I was talking to my barber, and I was like, "So, what is your cut out of say the rate that I pay?" He goes, "I only get 30%, sir, of the whatever rate it is."
Okay.
So that's why sometimes you hear these guys say, "Oh, do you want a shampoo? Do you want a wash? You want this? You want that?" Because the more services,
that's more money.
Yeah, it's more money for them. So, it is what it is, man. You got to adjust to the environment you're in. And as far as business, you also got to do the same thing. I mean, people are always late for meetings here. It drives me nuts, honestly. I mean, if they're a worker, yes, they're on time. But when it comes to meetings here,
oh my god,
sometimes some of the meetings are in your office, but a majority of the time, these guys want to meet outside of the office. Like
yes,
at a bar, club, go out to eat, whatever it is, on the golf course, and deals are closed outside, and be prepared to have a very long day or a very long weekend sometimes.
It is. Now, I've been in situations where people close deals, and I was more so a spectator, because whenever I had to close deals, it was very easy. People just came to my location because they had to pick out products that they wanted, and they had to, outline it and say, I need this, I need that. Can you prepare this, prepare that? I like this one. Give me 20 of those, 30 of those, whatever. So my business transactions were very minimal and mediocre at best. But I have been around people who had to close deals over dinner. had to close meals over a drink. And when I talk about breaking bread with Filipinos, that's damn near the easiest way to do it. I'm telling you, I've seen deals closed at bars, and I'm talking about the strip club bars, not the regular bars to just have a drink. I've seen guys close deals with a piece of ass in front of their face, and you may think I'm joking, but this is legit. I've seen this stuff happen before, and it's funny because all it takes is the right ambiance, the right atmosphere, the right environment, good people, good company, and you can close the deal relatively easy with most Filipino people. I mean, because all most Filipino guys want, I mean, not guys, but any businessman, like Mike said, you're out of the office most of the time. You don't meet in the office because they want to get out of the office. They don't like being in the office. I've never known too many businessmen that actually love just sitting in an office, 8 to 24 hours a day. So, like you said, a lot of deals are closed outside. So,
It may start in the office as far as the presentation is concerned, but as far as closing the deal, it's outside of the office.
Yeah. And most of the time it's with a handshake. Now, I do see some people honoring the handshake like it used to be. Of course, paperwork follows, but most of the time I've seen a lot of deals closed on handshakes purely alone and saying, I'm committing myself to, what business we're going to have together. That's not always the best way to go about it. It's always good to have your paperwork with you so that things can get signed off on and get moving quick. But, I have seen in certain situations where a handshake was good enough for the moment until the paperwork was, put together properly. So,
well, a handshake is an extension of your honor and saving face. So,
right.
In Asia,
They take that serious.
Yeah, it's a very. Let's put it this way: if it's closed with a handshake, it's pretty much as good as gold. Of course, like you said, paperwork will follow, but for the most part, I have not had a deal fall through not from somebody not honoring a handshake because they don't want to lose face.
True, and that's something you guys need to take into consideration. In Asia, I believe this is true all over Asia. Most deals can be concluded with a handshake. Until the paperwork comes about, a handshake is good enough. I watched a movie the other day. I don't know if you guys watched this movie ever, but if you ever get a chance to watch the movie, any of you guys know what's the guy's name was Ray something? The dude that owns all the McDonald's franchises, Ray Burke or Ray something another. I watched a movie on how he became the owner of McDonald's, and it was original Ray Kroc. There you go. And he basically pushed the McDonald's brothers, out of owning the whole entire McDonald's franchise. And at the end of the movie, when they were making the deal to actually, he was going to pay them $3 million or something to have official rights to the business. He said, I'll take the three. I'm going to give you guys the two. Actually, it was $2 million. You guys get $1 million each. And then I'm going to give you 1% annually every year. But he didn't put that in the contract. He tried to say, you know what? I'm not good with paperwork. So, a handshake. That's what I want for this deal. And he never honored it. He never honored the handshake. And that 1%, had he honored it, would have netted them $100 million a year. 1% of what McDonald's is worth would have gave them $100 million annually. So, that just goes to show you, man. You can't, most handshakes in the United States don't mean shit. That's why paperwork is always pertinent. But, in Asian countries, when you're doing business with most people in Asia, you can pretty much get a deal done depending on, a person's, honor and creed. You could definitely do deals on handshakes alone, for sure.
Of course. Now, of course, this is about business, correct? So, people are like, what kind of business can I do here? Well, for me, my family specializes more in agriculture. So I'm going to throw out some numbers out here, okay, for people. If you want to get into agriculture, granted, there's a way to get into agriculture without you actually owning the land, okay? You can do a land lease with a landowner, okay? For say do a 5-year land lease. So that's about average. And you already set up your contract for a certain amount that you're going to pay on a monthly basis for that land lease or a yearly basis, whatever it may be. Now, I would say get yourself about 10 hectares of land. And I'm just going to talk about rice right now, okay? Because somebody kept on saying, let's talk about rice. Well, I'm going to talk about rice, all right?
All right, give it to him. All right.
So the cost to prep, plant, and harvest your per hectare is your startup cost is about $1,800 to $2,000. I'm talking dollars here per hectare. So you have 10 hectares. Now this is a one-time cost because once this is in place, it actually starts paying for itself. Okay. Now, if you are able to harvest 30 hectares, so you got 10, you do 3 harvests a year. Sometimes you can do 4 depending on the season. But based on 30 hectares a year, your net profit after all expenses are paid and you've already put the money aside for your replanting, your net profit will be $47,720.40 annually. Dollars, not pesos. Off of 10 hectares. Okay. Now that's moderate. You know, granted, we do a heck of a lot more than that, but that's something that's achievable because 10 hectares is not that big as far as doing, or should I say, acquiring. And you can find 10 hectares anywhere in the Philippines.
Okay. And yeah, you can find that in most rural places. Yeah. I mean, the majority of the country is still, rural, rich, like not wetland, but like, grassy and shit. I mean, that's still the majority of the country. That's going to be outside of Manila. That's going to be outside of Davao City, of course. But, that area still does exist for sure. But go ahead.
It's still like 80% of the country.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. Also, too, is that you can diversify it between, say, rice and corn. Those are the seem to be the most profitable for us. I mean, coconuts are fine, but you still got to plant the trees and let them grow, and that takes about 2 years. So this is more productivity in a shorter span of time because you're harvesting basically every 3 months. 3 to 4 months, depending on, once again, if it's too rainy or whatnot. Now, I do want to let you know your startup cost, depending when you do start, will fluctuate because when the dollar rises, it actually costs you more to prep your land to do your startup costs. It actually cuts into your profitability. So this is where the dollar that's going strong hurts you when you're trying to make money in the Philippines when you're doing agriculture.
All right.
So now, not many people know how to plant rice and things like that. Well, this is what you can also do. You can get the land lease, okay? And then there are farmers out there that can't get land lease because they don't have the money. And you can say, hey, I have this land. You can do a sublease, or should I say, sublease with a 50% split or a 60-40 split, whichever you want to do. But I wouldn't go more than taking less than 40%. So that way they do all the work. You just have to kick it and just get your end.
All right. So an interesting question. I was waiting for you guys to come up in the chat with something good, man. So my man Owahudu says, okay, aside from farming, he said, let's talk about being able to run and own your own go-go bar. You know what? That's a horrible idea. I've seen them raided, and I've seen a whole bunch of raids at go-go bars, man. That shit just sounds like bad news out the gate, because if you get caught, if anybody on your property gets caught with drugs, you're screwed. I mean, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, but yeah.
I wouldn't own any kind of bar, even if it's just a regular drinking bar.
I don't see it's hard for me. I see the profit in it. I do, to an extent. But then I think
mean,
about drink costs,
I look at
audience,
I look at
ambience. Okay.
the local police and officials extortion cost.
Oh yeah, that's always in the remember. Don't hey man, you got to grease some palms to do certain types of businesses. Got to have that protection cost. You think that's just in the United States? You are sadly mistaken. Now, I've been in situations where I've known people who said, "Yeah, I got to pay 50 to 60,000 monthly, to keep my business open and to keep people from coming around." And these are just regular bars. Or, and the guys come in, they get their drinks for free and stuff like that. It's kind of hard to make a living when everybody's in your pockets. So, you know what I do? I would never put up a business like that ever. But I'm telling you, I would personally stick to what I know, and I would put somebody else's face on the business. Like I said, if it's something like as a foreigner, if you feel like you're going to be extorted, I mean, it's highly probable, but sometimes, shit like that doesn't happen. I mean, but if you feel like it will, just put it in somebody else's name. That's it. As
I
long as you
mean,
trust the person. That's what I did. Nobody even knew I owned it. I was just this black guy that was around all the time. They were like, why is he here for? Because my name's on nothing. I made all the money, but my name was on nothing. So I don't know.
well, in that type of business, regardless if you're a Filipino or a foreigner, you're going to have to pay.
Yeah,
Doesn't
you're gonna.
matter.
It just depends on how much you're gonna pay. Maybe
Yeah,
that plays a part.
yeah, the local may get a little better deal, but for the most part, you're still going to have to pay. And then you also got a lot of risk in that type of business too. I mean,
Mm.
there have been many foreigners that have invested in bars. I mean, even in the hot spots like in Angeles and Makati,
That shit
and
never ended well.
yeah, I mean,
Right.
they go out of business for a reason because keep this in mind when you are competing against a local business owner, those locals will come together to figure out a way to put you out of business
Yeah, they
in that
will.
type in that type of industry. Uh, a prime example is look at Uber. They are no longer in Asia for a reason. And they are huge in Europe and the United States. But now they're not touching Asia because they don't like how they got bullied around.
Oh yeah, they got pushed the fuck out. Oh yeah,
Oh yeah. So
Uber.
if they can do it to Uber, they can do it to anybody.
That's food for thought, man. I mean, when it comes to businesses, you just have to be careful with, like I said, the types of businesses you want to own. Like you said, I've known people who have put up bars, and those bars didn't last very long. I mean,
Hmm.
nobody likes competition, period. But they damn sure don't like foreign competition. I mean, I'm telling you, you can have all the everybody in your corner that you need to and have all the money in the world, but sometimes all the money in the world can't go up against an army of people who are looking to put you out.
Well,
And bars are horrible ideas anyways. I mean, everybody who wants a bar just wants a free place to drink and to possibly watch girls dance if that's what they're into, but you know, I mean, I don't see it. So, I don't see the bright side of it anywhere. So, I avoid it. I would avoid it for sure. Mm.
I see a wild dude's question about running a bed and breakfast surf resort in Siargao. Hey, that's a great idea as long as you're living on the property full time. You know?
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. My brother has a friend. They're stateside, but they have a resort or had a resort in Puerto Galera, white on White Beach, right there. Prime destination. A lot of tourism going there, but
Correct.
they were losing money because remember this is a cash-based society. Okay,
Oh
so
yeah.
the manager was only reporting 25 to 30% of actually the the rooms being booked. The rest of the time, he was pocketing the money. Unless you're there to watch them, I don't care if you have CCTV, whatever it may be. This is an opportunistic society. They will try to get you one way or another. Granted, I'm not saying that everybody's a criminal, but temptation is out there.
Everybody
Um,
steals. I don't care what nobody say. Filipinos, they'll give them an opportunity to steal. They'll steal from you. I'm sorry. I love them, but majority of them will
it's
take
not just
it.
Filipinos, and I see expats getting screwed over by other expats a lot of times here too, man.
Yeah, give anybody the opportunity to steal from you or skim off the top. Yeah, they're gonna take your ass for. They're gonna take you for everything you own. Like I said, if you're not on top of the business, this is one thing that is very important too, which is why there is a lot of discouraged. I mean, people are discouraged from opening businesses is because of the amount of work that's required to be in there. If you thought that you could get away with being in your business 2 or 3 days a week and you just capture and hold on to the profits and you don't have nobody overlooking anybody, you're sadly mistaken. All right, that's just not gonna happen. You got to be committed to the business. Now, until you can come to the terms of being able to automate and being able to have somebody that you could trust look over them, because most of the time when it comes to employees, you have a manager that looks over the employees, you have somebody to look over the manager, so forth and so forth. But that shit can still end bad. You understand? That shit can still go south very quickly, because if there's a way to skim money, money will be skimmed. It doesn't matter if it's in product, because some people will just take product and sell product. They won't take money out of the drawer, but they'll take product. They'll say, "Oh, we have X amount in stock," and if you're not keeping up with your stock, your shit could be taken out the door and you just won't know it. 2 or 3 patties at a time until they equal a whole box. I know that sounds ghetto as hell, but you just never know, man. They could take your stuff out of the store to feed themselves at home. You just never know. You just got to be on top of it, man. And that's something that I don't feel a lot of people are ready for.
Yeah.
That
Also,
commitment.
yeah. I mean, plus, it's like if you're already at retirement age and you have a pension here and it's a comfortable pension, why would you want to start a business and bring all that stress upon yourself anyway? Enjoy life.
No.
You already worked your ass off already. You know, my personal opinion.
Oahu dude says, "What about a high-end internet massage business that provides side benefits?" Now you're stretching it. I mean, I guess anything's possible, but all I see is extortion and things like that. Anything dealing with females and massages or whatever you want to call it, I just think of that as a very hot spot for extortion. I just see it.
Yeah, any kind of extra service business, you're not just going to get extorted by the barangay officials, and you're going to get extorted by the local gangsters because they run that type of business. Now you're stepping into their world.
Exactly.
And that's where your life gets at risk.
So a lot they say, Chosen One says that the best kind of business in the Philippines is no business in the Philippines.
See,
well,
there you go.
I mean, if you're in your elder years, no, just don't. Like I wouldn't want to retire in the Philippines and start a business. You got to come here with an idea. You got to be hungry and motivated to actually run a business. I wouldn't say just put something up to try to earn extra income, but not be fully committed to the actual business. That's where I think things really go wrong. People who don't fully commit themselves to the business. They're like, okay, I'll put this up. I'll trust somebody to run it for me and I'll just collect on the back end. And the only business, I promise you, the only business that I think you could ever get away with that in is something like a pedicab or something like a, motorbike business, like your boy did in this video. Shout out to Dumagetti Life, man. I actually enjoy watching his videos. He talked about he had a pedicab business, and he says, you got to make sure you have a good driver that wants to drive and do everything like that. But he says that he has a daily rate. He says, I don't care how much money you make, you bring me X amount of money per day. So he says if it's 170 hypothetical, he says he asked for 89 pesos per day from his bike. The bike gets parked at the house. Biker, the driver comes in the morning, picks up the bike, goes about his business. Nobody drives at night because they couldn't drive at night. And those are the types of businesses that are automatic. You can't get screwed over in businesses like that. You have a set amount. All they do is pay that. It's not, pay me 10% of what you make or pay me 20 or 30% of what you make per day. Nah, I just want my set amount. You give it to me. You keep the rest. So if you made 300 pesos that day, I'm only asking for 89. You get what? About 311 or 211. That's 300, something like that. So those are the types of businesses that I do believe do pretty well in the Philippines. You ain't gonna make a killing unless you have a whole bunch of them, but you could definitely do pretty well. And it's a daily wage, whether you use it or not. So I like those types of businesses. Easy startups too, for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely check out Dumageddon Life. He has like a 3-part series of 3 different businesses that he has done in Dumaguete, Philippines, and has netted him about what did he say, about 20 to 30% profit on an annual
Right.
basis, roughly. I
Yeah, he
mean,
does pretty well.
yeah, it does pretty well. I mean, and he has a lot of knowledge. Very knowledgeable individual. He's a
Right.
philanthropist,
Yeah.
and he definitely has more of that business set that can actually help an individual. And he doesn't talk out of his ass. Let's put it that way, like other people do sometimes.
Yeah, he definitely gets straight to the point, and as far as his background is concerned, he seems to have come from a pretty good, well-off family, but kind of went off on his own and did his own thing and everything. So, he definitely has some good insights, and whenever I get videos sent to me of some of the things he talks about, I definitely like the content over there. So I'm hoping one day I can get him on the channel. That would be dope. But I don't know if he does lives. He doesn't do his own lives. So I'll have to see if I can get in touch with him, probably through his website. But yeah, man, I want you guys to know that, there are ways to make money in the Philippines that don't require you to have what is known as the brick and mortar without having a set space. You could do things in the Philippines that don't require you to, be on top of it all the time. Like I said, if it just depends on what you're willing to do and what you're dedicated to actually doing in the country. A lot of people don't want to do no business. I get my pension every month. I'm good to go. I don't need to do anything else to maximize my money. And that's true. Why stress it, or why put yourself in a stressful situation if you don't have to? But then again, you got those that are young and hungry, those that want to live in the Philippines full time, but they think that they need to put a little money towards a business or something, and they're willing to do it. There are always options out there that could definitely help you, get on the right path. And some things don't require you to be there on top of them all the time. It just depends on what you're looking to get into.
Yes. There are a couple businesses. Some of the guys here, was it Fed Up was mentioned, or Oahu Do mentioned about some type of maintenance, cleaning businesses around here. That could work because services are always needed, especially for condo owners like me. I hire somebody that comes once a month just to do the deep cleaning of my condo. I do the general cleaning on a daily basis, but I hired a helper to come in once a month to just do the stuff I don't want to do. Let's put it that way. So yeah, a cleaning service could do well. I look at that as more of that's a low maintenance actually type of business because the people that you hire are basically on contract. They get paid per the job that you send them out on.
Right.
As far as construction goes, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole because now you're dealing with large construction corporations that are out here. Now, in the province, that could possibly work because there's always a shortage of construction workers, or should I say construction companies. But the hardest part that you're going to fall into is finding workers for your construction business out in the provinces area. Like at least I'm not talking about within the major cities, but I'd say anything outside of 2 hours outside of the city, you'll find hard times finding workers.
You got to find the ones that actually want to work. Pest control, come on, man. That's kind of a waste of time. I'm just saying that tongue in cheek, but it's just a waste of time for me. There's roaches all over these places and nobody gives a crap. So, I mean, it does depend. That's different. See, I'm talking about I'm talking about the Philippines that I know. Yes, I
Well,
mean if it's in your condo building, that's different. And even then, where we live over in Manila, like we'll get a sprayer to come through every month or so, but that was basically through the condo itself. So that service is provided by the condo. So they're making money on top of that. So a lot of you guys, I mean, trying to get into an independent, like that shit may not work. The funniest thing is this right here. Wholesome, right? Everybody knows Wholesome, the
uh-huh.
concrete company, right?
Yeah.
They have people that are trying to like infiltrate the concrete business with their own brand of like, the bad concrete. I
Uh-huh.
think that is strictly something that is wholesome. I've never seen a building built without wholesome concrete. I've never. I mean, it's almost impossible. So those are your dominant businesses dealing with anything like you said, construction and stuff like that. Most of these places have contracts with these people. So you're not going to infiltrate in any way, shape, or form. I don't care if you offer them a lower price per bag or whatever it may be. You're still not going to infiltrate that because you're starting to touch a lot of people's money. You may not know the backstory of how Wholesome became the most dominant concrete company or whatever you call them in the Philippines in reference to, they use them in all kinds of buildings and shit. So, you definitely have to be careful with that.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
I mean, doing business in the Philippines is I guess you can say it's kind of like a devil's advocate sometimes because
Mm-hmm.
it's good and it's bad at the same time because you got to deal with, well, at least on my end, uh, on a corporate level, you're dealing with a lot of bureaucratic red tape on top of what I do on a daily basis, um, and dealing with government officials on a daily basis. On a smaller scale, it would possibly be a lot less stressful. Let's put it that way. Like you said, location is key. Just like in the United States, location is key. Um,
Right.
and networking, definitely networking. Now, you're probably saying, I'm a foreigner. How do I network my business in the Philippines? Well, you know, the only way that you can be successful is if you start hanging around successful people that are in the Philippines. So you need to
That's
find
it.
a way. You need to find your way into that club. So hanging out in the girly bars is not going to get you it.
No. I like that. I like what you said there, man. That's a very, very good point. If you're gonna ever, I mean, and that's in general. If you want to be successful, hang around successful people. But if you want to network with the right people, you've got to hang out where the successful people hang out. Now, I've met quite a few people going to congresses and stuff like that. There was the Mindanao Business Management Youth Congress. They had that when I was in school. I met senators, the current senators. They weren't senators back then, but I've met all kinds of people at these congresses and stuff like that. And just soaking up the knowledge, business owners. I met the owner of the Slurs, SLERS meat company. I met them. I know the family already. The family, their kid went to Xavier University there in Cagayan de Oro. And I talked to this kid all weekend. I just chilled with him and his mom and shit. And, the things that they tell you, it's just amazing the types of information you get from people when you just having casual conversations. And it's not hard to meet them. Most of these people are down to earth. Now, I'm not going to say that you're going to run into the president of the Philippines and sit down and have a drink with him. I'm not going to say that you're going to run into, the owner of Philippine Airlines or Cebu Pacific or, the Gokong Ways. You're not going to run into people like that or the Henry C's and whatnot. You're not going to find those people and sit down and have a conversation with them. But people who are, successful in their own right that are Filipino that can definitely, even if it's just a conversation to get to know them and how they got to where they are right now. That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
I'll give you guys a organization that's here in Manila that are basically kind of like a network for small business or startup businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an organization that's called Ignite Gifts.com. Okay, so these are a combination of individuals with ideas for businesses or actually even have businesses. They're in Manila, but they do conferences like every quarter, and where they all come together and network and bounce, how to build their businesses through each other, and work together.
So that's called how do you that's Ignite, IGNITE, Ignite Gifts, GIFTS, Gifts.
Gifts.com.
Gifts.com. I'm gonna type it here in the chat. Ignite Gifts. .com. Sorry guys.
Yeah. So that's going to at least give you a perspective of, say, even if you're not a business owner, you're trying to start a business like in the Metro Manila, Luzon area, you can meet like-minded individuals that are in the industry of also doing innovation, of starting a business or have started businesses, to see their perspectives, and they're locals and foreigners all together. They do, like I said, they do a seminar on a typically on a quarterly basis. It's like 1,000 pesos, but it's a whole presentation. They feed you whatnot, and it's I think it's good exposure for an individual to see how what are the ideas that are floating out there, so that you can see what you have in your mind compared to what the locals have on their mind as well, and that can work.
I like that. I mean, if any of you guys are definitely interested, the link is posted here, or not the link, but the web address is posted here, man. IgniteGifts.com. Rayman, they refer to you as Rayman calls you the Tony Robbins of the Philippines. That's funny. That's funny. Dude, Tony Robbins got the biggest smile ever. You know what, guys? I felt like we really did accomplish a lot today, man, and I appreciate all of you guys coming through. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give my shout outs now, and then I'm gonna let my man Mike get the last thoughts out, whatever he has in reference to business. I'm gonna let him get his thoughts together, even though he probably knows what he wants to say. But I definitely want to shout out my people, of course, before we get to the end and before we close out. So Jay and Cookie, thank you. I appreciate you coming through. I got your email, so I'm gonna reach out to you soon. Rain Man, as always, I appreciate you showing up. You were a little late tonight, but it's all good. Fed Up, thank you. Oahu Dude, appreciate the interesting comments that you had today and business ideas that you thought would be very, very good for the country, but sometimes we should probably avoid those at all costs. Tony R, appreciate you. He says, I'm only going to the Philippines for healthcare and hot nurses, of course. That would definitely be a great topic of conversation to bring up in a later time. Fed Up, thank you. Clintus, I see you in the building. Thank you very much for coming through. We didn't have too many tonight. Chosen One, appreciate you coming through. Terry Edwards, I'm sorry, my brother. Appreciate you coming through, man. Showing some love to Dr. Mike TV and, of course, his guest. The Wallace Life, thank you for spending some time here with us today. I appreciate you. Jerry from Philippines Bound, appreciate you coming through, Jerry, man. It's been a while, and I hope everything is going well with you, my brother. BK, thank you for coming through and spending some time. Anti-Gravity, I appreciate you spending some time too. I feel like there were more people here, but my chat seems to stop there. So I appreciate all of you guys coming through and spending some time with Dr. Mike and, of course, company today. So with that being said, Andy, there you go, my brother. I see you now, man. I know I can't scroll up, guys. I'm sorry. So if I missed your name, please leave it here in the chat, and I'll make sure I show you some love before we leave. But right now, I'm going to give my man Mike a chance to get his, there you go, Lee Smith. I see you in the building. Appreciate you coming through, man. All you got to do is show me you here, and Dr. Mike is going to shout you out. So, Mike, I'm going to give you the floor, man. Say your final piece, and then anybody who has anything to say after, I'll talk after you finish. Go ahead, man.
All I say is, if you're planning to do business in the Philippines, once again, you got to have a lot of patience, but also, too, you got to keep in mind that, it can be very profitable, but it's not the same way that you do business in the States. So, at the same time, if you're already up in your years and you're already retirement age, I would think twice about doing business anywhere in the world actually, and just you've already worked your ass off. Enjoy your retirements and live well, and just have fun with the rest of your life while it's there. Get yourself a 20-year-old spinner, as John Doe says, and just have fun at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy
But
life, guys.
but if, like I said, if you're going to do business here, you have options. You got the business investor visa. It'll cost you 50,000 US into a bank account here, but once again, there's no age limitation on that compared to the SSRV retirement visa, where you got to be 50 plus. Either you're going to pay 10,000 or 20,000 for it, um, or you got your local. If you're married to a local Filipino, um, as long as you got that trust, good luck. I would say, before you start any business in the Philippines, live here for about 3 years. So that way you are sure you want to start a business here. And that way you can also get a good perspective of what location you want to do it in as well. Travel around for 3 years and see where you want it to be at.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this particular live stream. I enjoyed it for sure. There was a lot of insight, and I felt like this was not a topic that I could do myself. I had to bring on somebody here that could definitely bring a business aspect, somebody who knows business in the Philippines from their perspective, and provide some insight for you guys to be able to learn a little bit, get your tips up, man. We definitely um Philippines interest, I would never suggest a specific business. It just depends on what you guys are into. You can say Ren, he had an idea to put up a boat. That's what he wanted to do. So I could never say, oh, this business is guaranteed to work in the Philippines, because it may work for somebody else, but it may not work for you. So you definitely have to take that into consideration. Tony, you're right. Online businesses definitely work well. I think those are the greatest ones, because you can pretty much control everything that's going on. It's usually you and whoever contracts you to do a job or whatever you're doing. It's always definitely something to, like I said, take into consideration. We didn't talk about online business, more so because we were talking about businesses in the Philippines, like basically physical businesses you could possibly have. But online is always the best route, my personal opinion. Can't go wrong that way, because you can work that job anywhere in the world. So if the Philippines ain't for you, then you can always take that bitch somewhere else. You sit on the beach in Thailand and sip your pina coladas and just enjoy life. That's the beautiful, beautiful thing about online businesses. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this was a great live stream. Great guest, phenomenal guest. Definitely helped bring about some more insightful knowledge. Carlitos Way, thank you. Yes, a boat idea may not be the best during the rainy seasons. Exactly. You're not gonna always be able to have people renting it. But again, I'm just saying that was an idea, that was the dream, and that's what he wanted to do, and that's what he went out there and did. Okay. If you have an idea, go out there and do it. Like I said, hit or miss, at least you tried. That's the best way I could say it. Regardless of what it is, at least you tried. And you miss 100% of the shots you never take, like they say. So take your shots, man. You can talk about business with Mike. He's usually on here with us all the time. So whenever you go live, if you have any business questions, definitely leave them in the chat, and I'll try to bring them up to him if he's not there to actually answer himself in future live streams to come. With that being said, oh, you got something else you want to say, Mike? You good?
Well, I only have one more thing to say. Is it's actually a creed I live by. You only regret the things that you don't do. So
there you go.
What are you afraid of? Go ahead and just do it.
Like I said, if you're gonna take an L, at least take an L trying something. Don't take a loss sitting there holding on to it, praying that something's just gonna drop out of the sky. Because I've known people who get mad because they be like, oh, I had that idea first, but then somebody else goes out and does it. You know those type of people, the one that say, oh, I was thinking of doing that before, like years ago. Then somebody does it and makes it work, makes money off of it. Now all of a sudden you're bitter. I don't like that. Don't shit on somebody else for having the greatest ideas and you feel like they took your ideas from you guys. Okay. So again, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and close out, guys. It's been a pleasure having you on. I appreciate all of you guys who watch now, all of you guys who catch the playback. This is something that you can repeat time and time again, and you'll probably find something that you missed the first time you didn't watch it. Okay, I mean, or what you missed the first time you watched it. Okay, so with that being said, Dr. Mike is officially out. At least Nako. Paalam, which means we are going now. Bye bye. As always, love you guys. Mahal kita, mabuhay. I'm gonna say peace as soon as I get right. All right, guys. Peace.